Hi everyone, this is Akash and today I'll show you how to run a media stack on your Ugreen NAS. So the idea is that we want to run Sonarr and Radarr on Ugreen. If you search for any media file in Sonarr and Radarr, then they will run to Prowlarr, which will work as the central indexer. Prowlarr, of course, will have a bunch of indexing providers. Uh, Prowlarr will get the download link to Radarr and Sonarr, who will then push it to transmission. Transmission will download those files. Once those files are downloaded, they will be moved to your media folder. From media folder, your Jellyfin and Plex will keep watching, will be able to index the media, and it will be ready to be served on the network. Finally, Bazarr will also be watching those media folders and be able to download any subtitle for you. In case our Prowlarr has any difficulty in reaching any indexer, which is protected by say Cloudflare, then we'll use FlareSolverr for that. All right, and we are also going to use one environment file because you see these, we have to specify PUID and PGID, time zone, and config directory at many places. It's better to just define them once. You will find your PUID and PGID for the user that is logged in by going to Docker project create. You will see the PUID and PGID here for the user that is logged in. So change your environment file, change the PUID and PGID, put your time zone, config directory, you can leave it as it is. Download directory also can be left the way it is because this is just a temporary download directory. Once the media is downloaded, it will be moved to your media folder automatically. TV directory and movie directory, this you might want to change if you keep your TV and movies in any other place, then you would have to find the relative path by going to files and clicking on the folder where you keep your movies. So for example, if this was your movies folder, then you would use this location instead of instead of .tv. By .tv, I mean this is a relative path, which means in the current directory, another directory will be created with the name of TV, which will have all your TV shows, and movies will have the movies. All right. So now the first thing we have to do is we have to go to files again, shared folder Docker. Under this, I'm going to create a new folder. Let's name it stack. Inside this folder, I'm going to upload my environment file. All right, and now I have to rename it to .env. No name, just .env. Once you do that, it will disappear. Okay, this has disappeared, which means this has become a hidden file. In Unix, in Windows as well, if you have a file which has only an extension, it becomes a hidden file. So you'll not be able to see it. Now, our environment file is within Docker stack. So we have to create a new project under the same directory where the environment is. Click on create. The easiest way is you give the same name stack. If you give the same name stack, then it will automatically take the same folder. If not, if I called it stack 1, then I would have to here manually select the folder in which I had my environment file. Confirm this, copy and paste your compose file, click on deploy, and wait for it to finish. Okay, this is all done. So this is done. Click OK. Now if you look at stack 1, you will see that all your containers are running here. Let's first see if transmission is working. Click on transmission, and 9091 is the port. Here's transmission. Give it a file under downloads. Let's say Ubuntu. Add. Let's see if this is able to download. Okay. While this does that, we have to do one more thing to make sure that there are no permissions problem. If you go to again Docker stack, you will see that a bunch of files are created here. Each file you have to right click on, each folder rather, you would have to right click on, go to permissions, and make sure that the user that is has read and write permission. All right, confirm it and see OK. All right, your transmission is downloading. Now let's see. Next to configure, next thing that we want to configure is our Prowlarr. Go to Prowlarr, and first we have to add a proxy, FlareSolverr. Tags, you have to give a tag here because whatever tag you give here will be used to tell the indexer which proxy to use. And this is running on FlareSolverr. test it, save it, and go to indexers now, add a new indexer, 1337X for example. You see why we added proxy first is if you look at this one, it says this site may use Cloudflare DDoS protection, which would mean that you have to use FlareSolverr here. So if you give fs tag, which is what we give in the proxy, it will use that proxy. Test it, wait for this to pass. It's passed, save it. Here you see now 1337X is there. You search for any media file and see if it can return you the media file back. Yes, this is here, which means your indexer is working. All right. Now you have to go to settings and you have to give it the apps. We will not give it the download client. Download client will be given to Sonarr and Radarr. Now let's open our Sonarr and Radarr. Sonarr and Radarr. Same way you have to give here the authentication method. Same thing for Radarr. Okay, now in Sonarr, you have to go to settings and general and find the API key here. Copy this API key from Sonarr, go back to Prowlarr. Now when you add the application Sonarr, you have to put the API key here, and Prowlarr is running on not localhost, it's running on Prowlarr. That's why we use the specific bridge network so that these guys can refer to each other with their names instead of the IP addresses. Sonarr is running on Sonarr, test it, passed, save it. Let's add Radarr. Radarr would again be needing where the Prowlarr is running, which is on Prowlarr. Radarr is on Radarr. And the API key, I have to get it from Radarr. Here's the API key, copy it and use it here. Test it, save it. Now your Prowlarr is done. Prowlarr has Radarr, Prowlarr has Sonarr, and Prowlarr has the indexer, and we have one proxy as well. You can close Prowlarr now. Now let's configure our Radarr. In Radarr, you have to first go to media management and add a root folder. This is the place where Radarr is going to save your media files. Movies is the root folder here, because if you remember in Radarr, what we did was your movies directory was mounted here as movies. So you will have access here in movies. Click OK. This is not writable by user ABC. This is what we thought we might get. So go to file manager. What we said earlier, we actually have to do that. Docker stack these folders. The user has read-write access, but you again have to tick here and confirm it just to make sure that this permission really is enforced. And do this here as well and confirm. Now let's go back to Radarr and see if this time it takes it. It does. And the next thing you have to do is you have to give it download client, which is transmission. Transmission is running on not localhost, but transmission. Category, you have to remove this because if you keep any category, it will use that particular folder name. Now, oh, I put this name wrong. Transmission. Test it. Save it. This is all that you need to do here in Radarr. Okay, you have to give the root folder. You have to give the download client. We don't give indexer here because we gave Prowlarr the API key of Radarr. So you will see that the indexer is already here. Let's search for something here. Okay, first let's do the same thing for Sonarr anyway, by the way. So Sonarr will again have to go to media management, add the root folder, and this you will have TV. Okay, then we have to give the download client, which is transmission. remove the category and save it. So now your Sonarr and Radarr are also ready. Let's search for something here. Charade, okay, 1963. You can add just the movie only or the entire collection and the kind of availability and any quality profile if you want to enforce. Add movie. Once you do that, you go back to movies, you see that this is red, but this will soon turn to cute. So we'll leave it here for a while before we see what else is left. So transmission is done, Sonarr and Radarr are done, Prowlarr is done, uh, FlareSolverr is done, Bazarr. This is what we have to configure as well. So go to Bazarr. You have to give it the list of service providers first. So for example, if you have open subtitles account, you have to give the username and password. This is the service provider that will be used to download your subtitle, and you have to give the application here. So Sonarr, for example, enable it, give the address as Sonarr, uh, and the API key of Sonarr. So general API key of Sonarr, give it here, test it, it works, you can save it. So same way you can give Radarr as well. So now your Bazarr is also configured. We just have to configure Plex and Jellyfin now. But first, let's see if this is yes. So now see, Charade has changed to purple, which means that this is now queued. Look at the activities. Ubuntu was downloaded independently by transmission, but this guy is able to see that. Charade, it's already downloading, which is actually downloaded by transmission. Now let's look at your Jellyfin. Okay, so now we just have to configure our Jellyfin and Plex. Let's look at Jellyfin. Go to Jellyfin. The first time it will give you a wizard. Give it a username and password. You have to give a media library where your media is. Your movies will be there in your data movies. If you see here in Jellyfin, what we did was your movies directory was mounted to data movies. That's why we have to give data movies here. Okay, and say okay. Then we have to have one more library for the TV shows under data TV. Okay, next, finish. Login now. See, Charade is here. You can see if this plays. It does. All right. Now, this is it. Jellyfin is configured. You can also configure Plex in a similar way. Basically, you have to log in with Plex with the same username and account that you use for plex.tv. That's it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask them in the comment box, and I'll come back to you like I always do. Thanks.